Well, folks, before we get started with today's video, I just wanted to take a minute and thank everyone out there for subscribing to this channel. It's growing like never before, and I truly do appreciate you. I also want to say a shout out and thanks to all the people who have joined up for memberships. If you haven't already, be sure and hit the like button. Leave a comment if you want to. Get in on the conversation. If you don't feel like it, I completely understand. Just leave a blue heart. That helps to boost the videos and algorithm. I also want to give a shout out and thanks to everyone who supports me over on Patreon. We've been putting a lot of non-political content over there. I've been talking a whole lot about music and doing music shows over there, and we've been having fun with that. So thanks to all my patrons. And also thanks to everyone out there who has downloaded my new album, the Brimstone Sessions Volume 2. It's come out on Bandcamp, and it's been doing really well, and I appreciate you so much for making that happen for me. We are going to be in for a long 4 years, so I really do believe that we all have to stick together and work together, and I truly appreciate you sticking with me and working with me. This next story is one that I really feel like needs more attention, because I did say I was going to be talking more here on the channel about how that this administration is not about working within the confines of government or not about following the rule of law at all. It's all about loyalty to Donald Trump. And I've had people say to me, no, Brando, you got that wrong. It ain't about that now. There's guidelines in place. He can't just do anything he wants to. It's not all about being loyal to him. Well, I want to read you this article here from MidasNews.com because it absolutely is about their loyalty to Donald Trump. The headline in itself is disturbing, but this was from Troy Matthews from the Midas Touch Network. Trump White House applicants taken into a room and questioned on 2020 election and January 6th. Trump's White House staff have to proclaim their election denialism in order to get a job. Folks, take a look at this. CNN's Caitlin Collins reported that she had been told by dozens of job applicants for the Trump White House that their interview process consisted of being taken to Mar-a-Lago, think about that, sat down in a room and questioned about their stances on the 2020 election and the January 6th insurrection in an obvious loyalty test to the new president. Loyalty is a huge part of this, and it's not a surprise to anyone that Trump wants loyalty from his staffers, Collins told Anderson Cooper. They bring them in, they ask them their views on January 6th. They ask them who they thought won the 2020 election. And obviously people who are going into these meetings know what the right answer is in order to get these jobs. I've heard from dozens of people that this is not just a handful of people, or maybe they worked for someone that they wanted to check with them on that Trump doesn't believe is loyal. She continued, and Trump has given them the authority to go in and ask these questions and really make these calls themselves before even bringing it to Trump. This means the new White House is likely being forced to proclaim the 2020 election was rigged and that the insurrection on January 6th was not incited by Trump, meaning Trump is not, as special counsel Jack Smith has described, guilty of federal crimes. Whether they believe it or not is another issue, but anyone who speaks the truth will not have a place in the Trump White House. And folks, I really want you to stop and think about that one and let that one sink in, because that really is a story that should terrify more people. And I truly ain't trying to be hyperbolic. As a matter of fact, I truly do stop and think a lot of times before I use a word like terrifying. But when you have a leader who is demanding that the staff all be loyal to him and believe what he tells them to believe, even if they don't. You're not going to get this job if you don't believe this. That is not the country that we was ever supposed to be in. I sat here for years arguing with people. And when Trump said he wanted to be a dictator on day one, I argued with people over that. I said, that is not normal. We can't same wash this and let people think that this is normal type behavior. And I had people that I once had respect for say, well, it's okay. We're not really a democracy, and I don't care if he's a dictator or not. Just as long as he gets something done, I don't care. As long as he does what I want to do, I don't care if he's a dictator. Well, I can tell you that I have never felt that way about anyone I cast my vote for. I have voted Democratic. Yes, I've voted Democratic in every single election that I've ever voted in. But not one time was I okay with the idea of any of them being a dictator. Even if I thought, yeah, they're going to do everything I want to do, I was never okay with that idea. And when I pointed out, hey, he's saying he wants to terminate the Constitution on day one, people were saying, I don't care. I don't care if he does or not. And those same people who sat back and criticized every move Barack Obama made, if he didn't salute a troop on time, they were ready to raise mortal hell. And they questioned Obama's whether or not he was a Christian the entire time. They would accuse him of being a Muslim. No matter how many times he said he was a Christian, he was never welcomed into their fold. And then they sat back and supported a guy who, when he took the oath, didn't even put his hand on the Bible. Their heads would have absolutely exploded if any Democratic president had done that. But again, they were cool with it because it's all about their loyalty to Trump. Their loyalty is not to the flag behind me. Their loyalty is not to our country and its ideas. Their loyalty is not to the Constitution or the Bible. Their loyalty is to Trump. And he's going to make sure of that. That's the number one requirement right now, to be around him, because his first time in, he surrounded himself with people who had been in government and knew how things worked. And those people said that behind the scenes, when he was trying to figure out, it was absolute and total chaos because he did not know what he was doing. So that's why this go around, the people, we could sit here all day and say these people aren't qualified. That's the whole point. That is why he doesn't want people that are qualified. Qualifications means nothing. It's, will you be loyal to me? And I was talking to my good buddy Todd the other day, Superman Todd over on TikTok. I was talking to him, and he brought across a great point. He said, man, how long will it be before Trump starts some sort of committee that will investigate things and say that he was none of those things, and everybody out there will just go, yes, see, he wasn't none of those things, told you so. We can't let them gaslight us, and we cannot let them rewrite history. No matter what, we cannot let them do that. And I would say the same thing. It's not about Democrat versus Republican to me. It's not about left versus right. This is about right versus wrong, and this is wrong. That people have to have a loyalty test to him, and they have to answer those questions a certain way before they're allowed to have a job there. And that truly should disturb anyone. That's not what we were ever supposed to be about. We should vote for who we feel is the best person for the job. Then if they don't do the job that we voted for them to do, then we should be able to go back to the polls and vote again and vote them out. I've always aligned with the Democratic Party because they came the closest to supporting the policies that I believed in. They came the closest to supporting the ideas that I believe in. I've never thought they were perfect. I've never thought they had all the answers. And I never wanted one of them to remain dictator. I never pledged my loyalty to just Obama. I think Obama's one of the greats. I love Obama. Got nothing against the guy. I don't want him to be dictator. I think Kamala Harris would have made a great president. I think Hillary Clinton would have made a great president. I don't want either one of them to be dictators. I wouldn't want Joe Biden to be one. Bill Clinton's my favorite president. I wouldn't want him to be. That's not what we're about. That's never what we were supposed to be about. But what happened was we allowed a group of people to take over a political party that knew nothing about politics, and they absolutely have ushered in a completely new era. So it's very hard to talk about policy, and it's very hard to talk about what affects people when they're over here playing WWE theater. I had Gloria Johnson, state representative here in Tennessee from the Tennessee 3. I had her on my live stream. I highly recommend you go check it out here on the channel, watch the entire episode. I am going to be splitting that video up into some shorter videos to put out for you all, because what me and Gloria is trying to do is talk about the issues at hand and talk about how they truly affect people. And help people to understand that while you're caught up in all these culture wars, and while you're pledging your loyalty to Donald Trump, his loyalty is not to you. And if you think for 1 second that his loyalty is to you, step out of line just one time and watch how quickly he will turn everyone against you. It's all about loyalty to him, and that is not something we should have ever had in this country. It's not about loyalty to one man. It should have never came to this. That's not who we are as a country, and we have to keep reminding people of that. There's going to be a whole generation of people grow up thinking this is normal. And so what I want my channel and my platforms to stand for is I want it to be a reminder that not everybody fell for it. And I feel like a lot of people, those of us in the pro-democracy movement, I'm sure a lot of them will say the same thing. I'm doing this for my children and my grandchildren and my grandchildren's grandchildren. I want them to be able to look back and say, he didn't buy into it. He didn't believe it. You know, I've said so many times and talked to my mom, because I've always been fascinated with the Civil War, and I've studied it very hard. And it kind of disappointed some of my cousins when they found out that my family actually fought for the Union during that war. But I said to my mom back then, I said, okay, our family fought for the Union back then. So that means there was people sitting right here where we are that didn't want to go along with that radical agenda, that didn't want nothing to do with that. There were people that didn't believe in what was going on. They just didn't have platforms to speak from. We never heard from them because they didn't have these platforms to speak from. And I'm sure there was people in 1930s Germany that was saying, wait a minute, something's wrong. This is not who we are. This is not what we were supposed to be. But those people didn't have the platforms that we have. So that's why I encourage everyone to use your platform and use your voice to get it out there to let everyone know where you stand. And I've thought about this long and hard. I'm not going to be on Twitter because I don't want to contribute in no way to Elon Musk. I want nothing to do with that one. I really thought about leaving Meta, but I'm not going to, and I'm not leaving TikTok either. I'm not going to leave those platforms because I want to go down swinging. And I want people to understand that there were people out there, there were those of us who did not stand for it for 1 second and who did not believe it. And when the history books are written, they can look back, and even if they look back at us and think we were the enemy from within for real, if they all want to believe that, that's fine. They can think whatever they want. But we didn't buy into it, and we didn't fall for it. And that's why I think every one of you who have hit subscribe and hit follow and hit like on all the platforms that I'm on, I truly appreciate your support, because I know you too feel the same way. You weren't part of this. You wanted nothing to do with this, and you stood against it, and I thank you for it.